Every morning begins the same way. An alarm buzzes, jolting you awake, and within seconds, your mind negotiates whether you really need to get up. It's cold, it's too early, you deserve a few more minutes, so you roll over, close your eyes, and promise yourself you'll start fresh tomorrow. But tomorrow comes with the same battle. Somewhere deep down, you know your dreams, goals, and plans rely on you winning this tiny, silent fight, the fight against hesitation. Procrastination is not some giant obstacle blocking your path. It's the tiny, fleeting moment you pause, overthink, and let your brain talk you out of doing what you know you should do. It's the instant you second guess yourself before raising your hand in a meeting, before pressing send on that application, before stepping into the gym. It's sneaky, silent, and it robs you in broad daylight, leaving you stuck in the same patterns day after day. But imagine if you could break this chain, not with complex plans or waiting for motivation to strike, but with something so simple it almost feels ridiculous. Imagine reclaiming those moments of hesitation and replacing them with immediate action. What if the next time you felt that familiar pause, you had a mental switch that made you move before fear or doubt had a chance to speak up? Every extraordinary success story is built on ordinary moments of action, small, almost invisible choices that compound into a life that looks fearless from the outside, but inside, it's not about never feeling fear, it's about acting anyway. And it starts with a tiny shift, a decisive moment. A countdown that can silence your excuses and wake up the unstoppable part of you that's been buried under hesitation for too long. Most people believe that the reason they procrastinate is because they lack discipline or willpower. They think there's something fundamentally wrong with them, or that they were simply born lazy. In reality, procrastination is a universal struggle rooted in the way the human brain is wired for comfort and predictability. When faced with tasks that feel uncomfortable, uncertain, or demanding, the mind naturally leans towards avoidance. This isn't a flaw, it's an ancient survival instinct. The problem is that in today's world, this instinct works against us more often than it protects us. Instead of avoiding danger, we avoid challenges, conversations, and actions that could change our lives for the better. Whether it's putting off a phone call, delaying a workout, hesitating to start a big project, or holding back on sharing an idea, procrastination creeps into every corner of daily life. It wears many masks: perfectionism, busyness, overplanning, but the result is the same: wasted time, lost opportunities, and a quiet sense of frustration that builds with every passing day. People often wait for motivation to magically appear, believing that once they feel inspired, then they will act. But motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and often shows up only after action has already begun, not before. Understanding this is a game changer. If one accepts that waiting to feel ready is a trap, then it becomes clear that the only reliable way to defeat procrastination is to break the cycle of hesitation at the very moment it appears. Taking action must come before comfort. The truth is, nobody ever truly feels like doing the hard things. High achievers don't possess endless motivation. They have habits and tricks that push them to act, regardless of how they feel. There is a powerful yet simple method that transforms the gap between intention and action into a moment of decision. It's about training the brain to move before the excuses take hold. This shift doesn't require special skills, fancy tools, or a radical lifestyle overhaul. It starts in the smallest moments. When the alarm goes off, when an idea sparks, when an opportunity arises to step up instead of stepping back. Each of these moments can become a trigger for action rather than delay. Learning to act decisively in these micro moments can transform productivity, build confidence, and strengthen self-trust. The ripple effect reaches every area of life, from personal goals to relationships to career ambitions. It proves that what separates the doers from the dreamers is not luck, talent, or perfect timing. It's the choice to act when it would be easier to wait. Procrastination has quietly embedded itself into modern life, acting as an invisible barrier between people and the lives they truly want to live. It rarely announces its presence boldly. Instead, it hides behind rationalizations that seem perfectly reasonable in the moment. I'll start tomorrow. I work better under pressure. I'm too tired today. These familiar phrases create the comforting illusion that delaying action is harmless. Yet over days, months, and years, these tiny delays build walls that are difficult to break through. The problem is deeper than just laziness or poor time management. It's about the mind's need for comfort and avoidance of discomfort. The brain is hardwired to protect from pain and uncertainty. So when a task appears overwhelming, boring, or risky, hesitation kicks in automatically. This hesitation might last just a few seconds, but within that gap, self-doubt and excuses flood in. The longer a person pauses, the harder it becomes to start. This loop repeats itself endlessly, training the brain to choose inaction as the path of least resistance. This pattern sabotages not just big goals, but everyday progress. How many people have books unwritten, businesses unlaunched, degrees unfinished, or relationships neglected, all because they never took that first uncomfortable step? The cost of procrastination is rarely calculated, yet it silently drains time, money, potential, and confidence. It feeds anxiety and guilt, creating a cycle where the more one delays, the worse one feels, and the worse one feels, the more one delays. Productivity hacks, endless to-do lists, and elaborate planning systems often fail to solve this core problem because they don't tackle the root cause, the tiny moment of hesitation that stops action before it starts. People mistakenly believe that more motivation or discipline is the answer, but motivation is unpredictable and willpower runs out when stress is high or energy is low. What is needed is a way to interrupt the automatic patterns that lead to procrastination and replace them with immediate action, regardless of mood or circumstance. This challenge is universal. It doesn't discriminate by age, background, or ambition level. Everyone wants to live up to their potential, but few know how to consistently beat the brain's built-in resistance to doing hard things. Recognizing this problem is the first step. Finding a reliable way to overcome it is the breakthrough that separates a life of regret from a life of progress. The real enemy is not the lack of time or ability, it's the few seconds of doubt that steal dreams, one unmade decision at a time. Overcoming procrastination doesn't require waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration or a surge of discipline that never seems to arrive. It begins by understanding how the brain works when faced with a task that feels uncomfortable, boring, or risky. The mind's default setting is to protect itself from perceived threats, which in modern life are often not life or death dangers, but uncomfortable emotions like fear of failure, judgment, or uncertainty. This is why, the moment hesitation appears, the brain rushes to justify putting things off with perfectly logical excuses. To break this cycle, one must interrupt this automatic response before it gains momentum. The key is action. Swift, decisive action that leaves no room for excuses to grow roots. A simple mental trigger can be powerful enough to snap the brain out of autopilot and steer it toward doing the very thing it's trying to avoid. This isn't about forcing enormous changes overnight, but mastering micro decisions that compound into major results over time. One effective strategy is using a countdown or mental cue when a task appears, whether it's getting out of bed, sending an email or speaking up in a meeting, a quick internal countdown like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 interrupts overthinking and primes the mind to move. This works because counting backward requires focus, which shifts the brain's energy away from anxiety and toward a simple next action. The moment the countdown ends, the body moves and the decision is made before doubt can argue. Practicing this technique repeatedly rewires the brain. Each time action replaces hesitation, new neural pathways strengthen the habit of doing instead of delaying. Over time, this reduces the mental effort needed to act because decisive behavior becomes automatic. The first few attempts may feel awkward or forced, but consistency transforms this small tactic into a powerful habit. People often underestimate how small actions snowball into life-changing results. Choosing to wake up when the alarm rings instead of hitting snooze builds discipline for bigger commitments. Speaking up once in a meeting boosts confidence to contribute more in the future. Sending one message leads to important connections that open unexpected doors. These moments compound, creating momentum that propels bigger dreams forward. The beauty of this approach is its simplicity. It doesn't require special training, expensive tools, or perfect conditions. It's accessible to anyone, anywhere, at any time. All it asks is a willingness to catch the moment of hesitation and replace it with immediate, decisive movement. This simple habit transforms procrastination from a chronic obstacle into a minor inconvenience, leaving more energy and time for progress, growth, and fulfillment. The pivotal moment happens quietly but feels like a personal revolution. It could be as ordinary as the alarm ringing at dawn, the cursor blinking on a blank page, or a phone screen lighting up with an unsent message. In that split second, the old habit whispers just a little longer, maybe later. But instead of surrendering to the familiar pattern, a choice is made to disrupt it. A simple countdown echoes in the mind. A mental cue that this time will be different. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and action replaces hesitation. The body moves before the mind can argue. This is the instant when everything changes, not because the task itself is extraordinary, but because control shifts back into one's own hands. It's no longer about being at the mercy of fleeting motivation or feeling ready. It's about proving to oneself that action can happen without permission from doubt or fear. This small victory creates a ripple effect. Confidence begins to build, trust in self strengthens, and the gap between intention and execution shrinks a little more each time. One person decides to get out of bed when the alarm rings, despite every cell screaming for comfort. Another presses send on an email that's been sitting in drafts for weeks, opening doors to new opportunities. Someone else finally laces up running shoes and steps outside, not waiting for the perfect weather or mood. These moments may seem trivial to an outsider, but they are everything to the one reclaiming power over procrastination. The beauty lies in the realization that courage does not need to feel heroic. It just needs to last a few seconds longer than fear. That tiny burst of boldness, repeated over and over, dismantles the old belief that massive motivation is needed to take action. Instead, evidence builds with every small success. Taking the first step creates the energy needed for the next. This newfound trust in immediate action becomes addictive. Tasks that once felt overwhelming lose their grip because hesitation loses its power. The more this mental switch is flipped, the more unstoppable a person feels. No longer stuck waiting for the right time or perfect mood, they become the kind of person who takes charge and follows through. This moment, the conscious break from the pattern of delay, marks the turning point from living at the mercy of procrastination to becoming a deliberate creator of results. One decision, repeated daily, can redefine how life unfolds, proving that greatness often hides behind a simple, courageous moment of doing what needs to be done without debate. Procrastination is a challenge that silently undermines potential, quietly stealing time and energy in the moments when hesitation takes hold. It's not a reflection of character or ability, but a natural human response to discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. Recognizing this is the first step toward change, understanding that the battle is not about waiting for motivation or summoning superhuman willpower, but about rewiring how the brain reacts in those critical seconds before action or delay. The key to breaking free lies in transforming those micro moments of hesitation into deliberate moments of decision. By introducing a simple mental cue or countdown, it becomes possible to interrupt the automatic patterns that lead to avoidance. This small but powerful shift interrupts the brain's autopilot, allowing decisive action to take the lead before doubt and excuses gather strength. Over time, this practice rewires neural pathways, making action the new habit and procrastination the exception. What once seemed impossible to start becomes manageable because the focus is no longer on feeling motivated or ready, but on taking immediate, imperfect steps forward. This approach fosters self-trust and confidence, proving repeatedly that progress does not depend on mood or circumstance. It depends on choice. These small victories accumulate, building momentum that transforms productivity and reshapes the story of what is possible. The ripple effects extend far beyond checking off tasks. As hesitation loses power, personal growth accelerates. Relationships improve when communication happens promptly. Careers advance when bold decisions are made without delay, and personal goals become achievable through consistent effort. Action breeds more action, and the energy generated in those brief moments of courage fuels continued success. Ultimately, the fight against procrastination is not won through grand gestures or radical overhaul, but through countless tiny moments of courage. The decision to move when it would be easier to stay still. This simple strategy proves that greatness is not reserved for the naturally disciplined or endlessly motivated. It belongs to anyone willing to take control of their choices, one 5-second decision at a time. The power to change lies in those critical moments when hesitation threatens to win, and in choosing to act instead. Now that you understand the power of those few seconds, the moments that can either trap you in hesitation or launch you into action, it's time to take control. Waiting for motivation, perfect timing, or the right mood only leads to more delay. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be lies in the simple choice to act immediately, even when you don't feel ready. Start by recognizing the exact moment hesitation creeps in. It might be the split second when your mind says, "I'll do it later," or "not now." That's your cue. Use a mental countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then move. Don't wait for your brain to catch up or for doubts to fade. Act before excuses have a chance to take hold. This small practice rewires your habits and trains your brain to favor action over delay. Commit to practicing this daily, whether it's getting out of bed on time, making a difficult phone call, starting a project, or simply saying yes to an opportunity. Use the countdown and act immediately. Each time you do, you build momentum, confidence, and self-trust. These small wins stack up, creating unstoppable energy that drives you forward. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Progress beats perfection every time. Taking imperfect action is what moves you closer to your goals. Waiting to feel ready or inspired only keeps you stuck. Action creates momentum and often fuels motivation, not the other way around. Share this strategy with others who struggle with procrastination. Encourage friends, family, or colleagues to try this simple but transformative habit. Together, you can build a culture of doing and disrupt the patterns of delay. Keep a journal or log of your wins, no matter how small. Reflect on how taking immediate action changes your days, your mindset, and your results. Celebrate the moments when you choose to move instead of hesitate. This will reinforce your new habit and keep you motivated to continue. The path to change starts with a choice, a decision made in 5 seconds. Will you let hesitation control you? Or will you take those 5 seconds and turn them into a powerful launchpad for action? The power to break free from procrastination is in your hands right now. Start the countdown and watch how your life begins to change one decisive moment at a time.